Hi, my beautiful stars. I'm Ella. How are you? I hope you're doing amazing. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And for today's reading, I wanted to bring the past life or parallel life kind of theme. So let's dive into a past life of yours and why is it important for you today? So we have three options. Please go ahead and pick one. If you need to pause the video so you can choose better and take your time while doing it, then go ahead and do it. And then when you're ready, let's start. Welcome, group one. Get comfortable because we will start your reading now. And so the first thing that I wanted to know was the setting where this past life happened for you. And the one that I got here was war. And I believe that you had to move away because of war, or it was like a global war. So what I got here was people that were in power and they did not care to hurt other people, to harm other people, to burn places, to destroy places and human beings and, animals and all that, if that meant that they would win. And so that was the kind of environment of this past life of yours, and this is very important for you because I think it shaped you a lot. I see you having to move away from where you used to live. I think you had a reality check in a way. I think this might have happened where you were very young still. And so you went from like having a happy life to suddenly having to deal with something as serious as war. And this obviously impacted you. And the role that you had in this life, it's very interesting because I see that your role flipped. You were used to be a person that was so much more focused on peace and love and connecting. This was probably with family because I think you were very young here, maybe a kid or a teenager. And so then, as you grow up, especially in this environment, it kind of forced you in a way, like it's obviously your choice always, but you became much more cold. Like you were colder, you were more rational, you put your heart aside, like completely. You disconnected from people. I think you stopped believing in humanity. I think that's the point. I think you stop believing that people can really care for each other, can love each other, because when you looked around, you just saw human beings destroying other human beings as if they were nothing. And you were just so confused in the beginning, like, what's going on? Like, because you had an environment with the people that were closest to you that was very caring and loving. But war really brought this new side of you. This could have to do with imagine your family being destroyed, maybe someone died, or but there was definitely a change that happened in the way that you were as a person and the role that you took in that life. And so I do believe that you became um, either a soldier or someone that actually engaged in this war somehow. So you chose to follow this path. Maybe to protect yourself, maybe that's what you thought would be more safe for you, or maybe you were like obligated to actually go ahead and get in this war and fight. So when we have, and this is interesting because now that we are going to see the relationship that matter for you, like I don't see that you created any kind of relationship. Look, you were you didn't even have like properly friends. You didn't let people get close to you. There was some kind of arguments. I think that you believe that you were surrounded by fools or by people that were not worthy of your time or of your trust. Like you couldn't trust people, didn't trust people. I see you, even if needed, you would backstab other people. And it was very funny because when I was taking your cards out, I felt a strong like back pain in my left shoulder blade, and it literally reminded me of like backstabbing someone. I'm not saying that you literally did that, like physically, but that you did not trust other people and that you would do something bad to other people if needed. Yes, you would, if that meant protecting yourself or gaining somehow some kind of power or money. I think like power roles were very played here, and all of that came from fear, and all of that came from you trying to protect yourself, because maybe when you were a child or a teenager, you believed that like you were not safe because of what you saw around you happening, you know? And so you took these very seriously, and you were not able to even make friends, like true friends. And now, a strength that you developed in this life, you developed your ability of communicating in a diplomatic way. Like, it's very interesting. I think it was also another way for you to survive in this whole environment, especially if you were dealing with people with power. Like, if you went for being a soldier or someone even like with a higher status here, but it obviously had to deal with war or with the people that were in power, maybe conversations with them or anything like that. Like, I see you to protect yourself and to ensure your safety. You've learned how to communicate in the diplomatic way. And so it was very easy for you to kind of like get inside certain groups, or like not, it was very easy for you to not say what you were really thinking about. Like, you were a very good liar in that way, because to maintain the peace or the sense of security to yourself, like you were able to simply say what other people would like to hear, and you knew what they would like to hear. So this was a skill that you developed because you needed to feel safe and to ensure that you would have what you wanted, even if that was power or money or, you know. And so a wound that you carried in this past life was actually the fact that you immaturely, and because you didn't recognize how important it is to connect with other people and all of that, you've refused a love offer. So there was a person that was put in your life. It was almost like a soulmate. And because you were so focused on what you had to do and you were very mature in the way that you communicated, so, and the way that you thought, you know, you were more focused on surviving and keeping the appearances and being safe and acting impulsively towards like your job, or, you know, like it's almost like your emotional life was put aside. And so you, I think you did not believe in love at all. Like, I think you couldn't trust people, that you probably you couldn't feel love yourself. Like, and because you didn't feel love, you just thought that like that's not for you in that life. That's not for you. And so you refused this person. And it's interesting because later on in this life, you've regretted it. That's why it's a wound for you. I think maybe when you were older, you know, and you were just looking back to your life and all the things that you've done, and you know, because refusing this love offer, maybe, okay, I'm getting another message here. You probably, because you did not believe in love, obviously, and you did not believe in deep connections and, you know, truthful, honest connections emotionally, you decided to put this person aside and you were like, no, I don't want to be with you. And you focused more on relationships that were passion based. So things that were very quickly, or just like sexual kind of interactions, and you know, and you really hurt this person, that they were always very honest with you and they truly cared for you, but you didn't know that when you were younger. Like you only truly noticed that when you were older and you looked back and you really reflected on the life that you had, and you really regretted not making a connection with this person and not believing that that could be real, that you could connect with someone truthfully. And so what was left unfinished from that life was that you've decided to keep to yourself whatever it might be, instead of giving to other people that you knew they needed it. So it's almost like you had something that you knew other people needed, but you decided to keep it to yourself. You weren't honest, and you were a bit selfish in that way, because like in the 7 of Swords, he is holding the swords very tightly to him, and then we have the 6 of Pentacles, that it's literally the person giving to others, people that really need, they are in need of it. And you were like, no, I'm not gonna give it, maybe because you thought like you could need it in the future, or that you really worked hard to get it, or you know. But I think this might be something that you might have to work on in this present life. That is, if you have something and you can share it with other people, this could be literally money, or this could be a product, or this could be even knowledge, like it really depends on the person. And this is a general reading. So, but I do see that it's very important that in this life you go ahead and share what you have to give to other people, what you can give to other people. It's very important that you volunteer, or maybe this could be a kind of activity that will really help you feel good. And as the last thing that we have here, like that, how is that energy living in you today, like this past life energy? I see that you're kind of like repeating the same pattern. In this life, you're very much focused on money and working, and you're neglecting your emotional side, and you're neglecting your emotional connections completely. And don't make the same mistakes, okay? Like, you can have both. You can be powerful, you can have money, and you can still connect with other people. Like, connecting with your emotional side and connecting with other people on a deeper level, it is not a weakness, and will only add to you, will only fulfill you more, okay? There might be a belief around that, like a limiting belief that you might have to work on. Just allow yourself to give a bit more of your time to the people around you, and to nourish the relationships that you have with the people that truly care for you. And understand that people can, yes, there are good people out there, okay? If you have this kind of belief that it's like human beings are mean, or because some people do have that kind of idea, I get where you're coming from, because you've experienced like war, and you see even today like people being mean to each other to a point of killing each other for power, for money. And so remind yourself that you don't have to be like them. I'm not saying that you are going to kill people, of course not, but I'm just, what I mean is that you don't have to focus on money and power and status and all of that only, when you can also have good connections. You can also create good connections. You can bond with other people. Like, you will notice how amazing that is for you, and how much it adds into your life and into who you are as a person. You need to open up a bit more. You need to listen more to your heart. You need to act more with your heart instead of being so focused simply on money and on working. Life is not all about that. And I'm telling you, like, you got to remember that once you're gone, the money stays, the job stays, the work stays, the status stays. Okay. And so, as a final advice here, you need to enjoy life. You need to do things that bring you pleasure, like truthfully honest, sincere, pure pleasure. Okay, you need to do things that make you so happy, make you so excited about. It is good that you also connect with other people and connect with nature, connect with yourself, connect with your higher self, with God. It's important that you kind of ground yourself with connections instead of focusing so much on the material realm. You're meant to experience both things here. So ensure that you do that carefully. And yeah, this is all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish to see you in my next video. Hi, my group 2. Welcome and get comfortable because we will start your reading now. So, for your past life reading, the first thing that I wanted to see was the era or setting where you lived. And so, basically, the environment, what surrounded you. From the cards that we have here, I see that you were from a very wealthy family. This was in a time where kingdoms existed. So, you were probably a noble lady. I see you marrying a king, someone very, very powerful. If you ask me about personality, I would say that it was someone very rational, okay, but he became like he was a bit cold. Like he was very good at speaking and he had great talks with you, I believe, but he was more focused on his duties and what he had to do and his values and what he had to say, and so he was very much cold, and I think this showed to you as time passed in your life. But there was this marriage happening. So at this time, religion was very important as well. Not necessarily that you were religious or that you really engaged in this kind of thing, but that being married and like the process of getting married and all of that was very religious guided. If you ask me, who were you? The things that I can describe to you is that you had this kind of like Disney princess syndrome in a way, almost like you were already from a very wealthy family, so you were used to money and power. You knew how this kind of roles worked. Um, you liked a lot abundance. You were someone that really valued money, power, and even physical beauty. I think you were also very proud of yourself. I believe that you were very pretty. And I think that you were someone very educated as well. I believe that you had even singing lessons. You were someone that sang uh, quite well. And now, if we see what's your role in this past life, what appears to me, it's almost like what happened to you. So basically you tended to idealize a lot the idea of getting married, and you were also very drawn to power and money, but in a almost kind of innocent way. Like I don't see any kind of bad intentions from you. Obviously you were a bit naive, I think that's the thing, and I think you just didn't know better in that life. That's the only thing that you saw around you is it was how people should act, how you should act, how important it was for other uh, people appearances, like, and even your status and money and all of these things. And so I see that you did marry this king, but what happened to you was a bit different from what you've expected. So you had this idea in your mind you could get into a happy marriage, not necessarily emotionally connected, like fully like in love with each other. No, I don't think you even fell in love with this king necessarily, but I think that to you, it seemed like a good opportunity, you know? You thought that even if you didn't become like this romantic kind of couple, you were still very much like friends almost. You could communicate with him a lot, and you know, like you would spend time with him here and there, and you would have a beautiful family and this almost like perfect happy ending. But you didn't have that. And so what happened to you was that you married this king, you were busy fulfilling your own duties because you had duties. And then you had children, like I see many children, and you were very happy with what you had. You were very like you acknowledged the privilege that you had, the fact that you were in a place full of luxury and that you had these amazing children around you, and there was love between you and your children. But I see that the connection between you and your husband did not exist. Like with time, he started distancing himself more and more and more. He was even more focused on his duties, on power, on achieving this, on getting that, you know? And so you became a bit lonely, even. And you started to crave something more. You started to feel sad, like truly unhappy with the life that you had, and the fact that you could not choose something different now. You cannot walk away from the situation because in that time, we all know if you marry someone, you will not get a divorce, especially as a woman. And so I see you crying at the fact that you are not, you don't know who you are, you don't know who you were supposed to be, like besides, because you were so, like, imagine you were created in this place and space where everyone told you who you were supposed to be, like appearances were everything. And so you didn't know who you truly were, like what you truly wanted of your life. You thought it was a great marriage with a very wealthy and powerful man, and that you would be happy that way. But as time passed and as you had your children, you start to feel less and less fulfilled. And that led to you thinking about this, to you feeling very unhappy with the situation that you were in that moment. This left you in a place where you were like, I wanted to walk away if I could. I really wanted to have chosen something different. I wanted to have had the freedom to be someone different, to find who I was, to go around and explore the world if that was needed for me to find fulfillments, like true fulfillments, someone or somewhere where it's almost like you had everything that people around you craved for, but you were not happy. You were not happy. That did not fulfill you. That was not enough for you. That was like you started to understand that all the value that you put before in money and wealthiness and power was not worthy. That it did not fulfill you in any kind of way. Like you were happy that you didn't have to worry about anything, and you could have any kind of luxurious, you know, like dress or jewelry or anything like that, and even great food, but still you were not happy where you were. And so that lead you to, as time passed, like in your 30s and then your 40s and then your 50s, you started to look back at your life and you were like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Like, I feel like I lack something. There's this void inside of me that I don't know how I could fulfill it. Like, how could I fill this void? And so, a relationship that truly mattered to you in this life was exactly this marriage. You went to this marriage believing that you were going to have something, like you had expectations about it, and then everything was ruined because you understood, you saw with your own eyes and with your own experience that that's not what happens. It's almost like you were in this kind of dream world in a way. They were like, oh, I'm gonna have this and I'm gonna create this family and we will be all together, even if I don't necessarily love him like my husband and he doesn't love me. We can still be friends and have a very healthy relationship, communication and work together and be together. You had this idea that you would be so happy in your future. But then you got that, and the only thing that you felt was stuck. You were stuck. It's almost like you signed your sentence. That's the vibe that I'm getting here, like how you felt when you like after marrying this man. And I mean sentence in a way that it's like your own light and inner fire disappeared as time passed by. And you just felt stuck there and you were like, I don't have any other choice. I have to stay here for the rest of my life and I will be unhappy for the rest of my life and I will feel unfulfilled for the rest of my life. That's how you felt. And so a strength that you developed in that life was how resilient you were. Because you could have been angry when you saw how things were actually like in reality and how different it was from your expectations. You could have been very frustrated, but I see that you leaning more into sadness and the fact that you can't do anything about it. It's almost like, okay, there's no point in getting angry and frustrated and try to rebel because you won't have any other choice but stay there. And so you kind of resigned because you also understood how these power roles and money worked in that world. You knew you couldn't do much about it. But also, you've gained this strength of understanding how important it is to think a lot before making a decision. Like how important it is to list the pros and cons of something before making a decision. To not just idealize something irrationally and then go ahead and do it, and then you get stuck in a place where you don't want to be, where you don't even belong, that is not aligning with you. So, in this life, like in this current life, this present life of yours, you might have this tendency of taking a bit more time to make a decision because you want to ensure that you're not making the wrong decision and that you won't get stuck in a place that will not fulfill you, that will make you feel very unhappy and sad. And also, I believe that one of the things that you've developed was the fact that you've acknowledged this new fire inside of yourself. Because you see, for the first part of your life where you were growing up and everything like that, before your marriage, even, and in the beginning of your marriage, you were the kind of person that was way more focused on the material world, okay, and appearances, and you thought that's the most important thing in life. You valued that a lot. You didn't necessarily have this fire inside of you. You didn't necessarily have this inspiration or passion. You were just following what everyone told you that was supposed to be the path, what you've learned, what you saw around you. But I see that during the course of your life, the fact that you felt like you lacked something was exactly showing you that you've started to noticing a fire inside of you that was not being allowed to be expressed and to be taken action towards. It's almost like you felt this need for excitement. You wanted to do something and to have a life where you felt excited and passionate about. You wanted to be able to truly express this light of yours, this fire, this energy of, I want to do something different. I want to do something that fulfills me. I want to do something that excites me about life. And so there was also something for you to acknowledge in that life, a strength that you've developed of how important it is to follow something that you love to do, to follow something that you feel very excited about. And now, if we see what's the wound that you've carried in this past life, was the fact that you felt a bit like a slave in a way, unconsciously, like a robot almost, to the dynamic of power and money in this world. It's almost like at a certain point in your life, you looked back and it felt like because you were born already in a noble family, you didn't have much choice to like who you're going to be, who you will act, what you will believe that it's valuable for you, and then the rest of your life, like your future, what you're going to do, like marry someone, have kids, and you know, you felt like you were kind of a slave towards this system. Like you couldn't do anything. You didn't have the choice. You didn't have the freedom to be different, to do different, to escape from that kind of dynamic that you started to not hate, but like dispose. Before you valued it, but then you understood how that is not important at all if you don't feel happy. There are other things that are more important for you. And so there's this wound that you've stayed the rest of your life, this past life, overthinking and crying, especially at night when you fell asleep or when you were in your bed before sleep. You've spent years and years and years just thinking about what you could have done different. How amazing your life could be now if you chose something different. How amazing it would be for you to have the opportunity to, in that exact moment, to do something different, to maybe get a divorce, maybe go explore the world, have a different path, follow something that would bring you, that would ignite this fire inside of you again. You really wanted to have a choice, and you felt like you couldn't have a choice because of the role that money and power played in your life in that world. And so, what was left unfinished from that life? It is very interesting here because I see that before you got married to this king, you did have an opportunity of marriage for love. There was this man, I believe he was a prince. That's the word that is coming to me. He was not a king, he was a prince. And he was younger than this other man, yes. He didn't have as much power, but he was still a prince, so you know. But he was way more he was very connected with his own emotions. And I think he truly appreciated you. I think he looked at you and you know those kind of romantic people that fall in love at first sight, this kind of, it's almost Disney like love. Like this person had this person looked at you, he saw you, he's from a different kingdom, he is from a distant kingdom. I see he coming for you, like to meet you in a way. Maybe this was a kind of, you know, a ball or a party that was being held uh, through the kingdoms, and you know he got invited and then you met him. But I think that he really liked you, like he, in a very genuine way, he kind of fell in love with you and you had the opportunity to marry him, I believe. There's two things here. You could, it's almost like if in that time you had the opportunity to choose, imagine your father allowed you to choose between this king and this prince, you've chosen the king because of the power and wealthiness, and because in that time you believe that's the most important thing and that's what would secure you a happy life and your happy ending. But that's not true at all. That's not what happened, of course. Then you've learned that later on. You had either the opportunity to make this choice and you did not make it the preferable one, let's say like that, or your father was the one that was deciding for you, and so he obviously was going to choose the most powerful wealthy man, but you were not unhappy with the choice in the beginning because you truly thought he was the best person to stay by your side. You really thought that this king of swords was the best person to be with you. In that time, I don't think that you were very connected with your emotions, or you didn't value emotions and true love. Maybe you didn't even believe in love. And so that's why you did not choose this prince, but he was able to give you what you truly lacked in the future, and that made you very sad. He would give you an opportunity to feel things, to feel alive, to connect with emotions and see how amazing it is to be genuinely intimate with someone in an emotional level and be able to create something beautiful with someone that also nourishes you and cares for you genuinely. And so finally what we have here is, how is this energy of this past life um influencing you today in your current present life? I see that there's lots of limiting beliefs. They are fear based, fear of choosing wrong, fear of not having, of not being free. There's, I think your concept of freedom, of true love, and of the role that money can play in a relationship might be a bit distorted, or might be a bit unhealthy. How can I explain this? It's almost like the belief is in a negative way because it is coming from a place of fear. It is coming from a place of, I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be stuck in a situation again. I want to have the freedom to choose, and I don't want to be with someone for money. I don't want to depend on someone's money, because that would mean that you would be unhappy for the rest of your life. It's almost like I would get stuck in this relationship. And so in your present life, you might have witnessed, either in your family or with your own experience, how it works to be in a relationship and be dependent on this person, especially financially. Like to have this power dynamic between one that has the power and uses it in a wrong way, and the other person feels very stuck in there and feels like they have no power. They are powerless, and so they are obligated to stay in that place where they're being hurt. Because you've witnessed this, you have this thing in your mind that it's like, I prefer to be alone for the rest of my life. Like, I don't wanna be dependent on anyone's money. I don't want to feel dependent on anyone's money. And so you start to work a lot. You value a lot money, because money for you equals security, equals safety, equals guaranteed freedom. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but it's very important that you acknowledge that this concept is not very healthy and it's not necessarily accurate. It's something that your unconscious mind kind of like captured because it's what it witnessed, but it's not necessarily the truth. You can be married to someone that is very wealthy and they won't use that power against you. Like, you should not make the power or the money the bad guy here. It's way more about that person. That person used that against you. So the problem is not the money, the problem is not the power, the problem is that person's behavior, who they truly are. Money just gives you an opportunity to see who these people truly are and how they, like, what's their relationship to power. Do they feel so powerless that they have to use it against other people so they can feel a bit less powerless, you know? So it's very important that you really work with this dynamic. The advice here for you is really work with your shadow right now. It's important. You have lots of information in the internet these days about shadow work. If you want to go ahead and search for it, it's very important that you do it right now in this moment of your life. And don't give up on love. Like, you need to redo and rethink about your concepts of love, freedom, money, power, and how all of that works in a relationship, how that plays in a relationship. It's very, very important that you work with the idea of feminine and masculine energy, divine feminine, divine masculine, and truly work, turn it into a healthy, divine energy. I think you might try to unconsciously be more in your masculine energy because you believe that that's something that's going to protect you, that's going to ensure that you be financially independent from other people, and that you create this whole empire for yourself that will ensure that you will be free and that you will not be unhappy in your life. But be very careful with this. Sometimes, without noticing, we get ourselves stuck in a relationship, not because of money, but because of love, what we call love, but it's actually emotional dependency. When you have your concepts, and even within yourself, your feminine energy wounded and your masculine energy wounded, you will not attract people that are very healthy as well in that way. And so the dynamics between these relationships might be a bit toxic in a way. It is very important that now you acknowledge the fact that you are always, it does not matter if you don't have money, you have always the possibility of walking away from a situation that is not fulfilling you anymore. There's always an option, there's always an opportunity. You are not stuck in this time. It's 2026. You know, there's always a way. So you don't have to fear being stuck in a relationship. You won't. That's always your choice. Now you can make your own choices. And so that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best. So, my group 3, hi and welcome. Please get comfortable because we will start your reading now. And so, the first thing that I want to know about your past life is what's the era or setting, like the environment around you in this life. And so, I see that you were some kind of farmer, someone that was a bit poor, definitely, and that was a king. So, this was in a kingdom. A king played definitely um, an important role. If it was not a king, then it was someone that you worked for, but it was someone very, very powerful and very wealthy. And what appears to me here is that there was an offer for you to work with this person, like they offered you. These men came up to you and said, "Look, I have this opportunity. You will work for me and I will pay you. This will bring you lots of abundance." Like, this man promised you lots of things if you worked for them. And I think you worked literally on farming, so planting and those kinds of things, because that's what you knew to do in that life. I think you've grown to genuinely work with it. So maybe your parents were farmers as well, and so yeah, but this person offered you something that for you it looked amazing, but it was a lie. That's the energy that I'm getting here. Like this person was only caring about their own wallets. And so they were like the, this man lied to you. He said he would give you a lot. He said that if you did this work, you would get very, very abundant. But what happened here was that no, you didn't get abundance. You stayed poor and you stayed like working for this man. You had just enough to eat, just like you had before this man and this opportunity came up to you, basically. And so, what's the role that you played in that past life? I see that there was an opportunity for you to follow your passion, for you to do something that you love to do. There was this inspiration, there was this necessity of doing something more than just being a farmer. I believe that you didn't feel like it was very aligned with you, and but I also believe that you were a bit resigned in a way. It's almost like things work this way and I was born in this family and I'm supposed to work with this for the rest of my life as well, and then my kids will do the same, this kind of mindset. But I see that you you had an opportunity to follow a passion of yours. You had an opportunity to do something that you love to do, to be more of an explorer. To It's almost like you had an opportunity to be your own independent business man, not necessarily a businessman, but to create your own empire by yourself. But the way that is offering to you is not based on money, because I see that you thought this path for you was a bit unstable, especially compared with this opportunity that you've received. Because this man was very wealthy and he came up to you literally saying, "Look, I'm going to give you money if you work for me." And you had this other opportunity that was way more focused on this is something that you would love to do, you know? Like there was no real insurance that you would receive money if you followed your passion, your excitement. But the simple fact that you would be doing something different from what you were used to, and it was something that was more aligned with you, was supposed to be enough to call your attention. But from what I understand here, I don't see you taking this offer. I believe that you took the offer of this wealthy man, of this king of pentacles. And so you spend the rest of your life regretting this decision. I see that because you start working for this man, and like as time passed by, you saw that you were not getting abundant. You saw how this man literally lied to you, and now you were stuck with this job because if you didn't do it, you would just die, like starving to death. And so you really regretted not taking action towards this opportunity of following something that you love to do. And regarding a relationship that really mattered to you in that life, I see that was like the idea that comes up to me was very much like this partnership. I think partnerships in a business like way or business based was very important to you. You thought it would change your destiny, this opportunity from this rich man. You thought it would change your future completely. You thought it would give you an opportunity to become wealthy, truly, to become abundant. That was something that you really craved for. But in the end, you understood how it's ended with you still being in the same position of having to work and work and work and work and receiving barely, just enough for you to eat, and not even eat properly, just eat to survive. It's almost like slavery, but without being a slave. But partnerships definitely matter to you, maybe in this present life, and I think you might have a hard time trusting people. If you don't, then what might happen in your life is that you will do, because this wound has to show up somehow in this present life. And so what might happen is that you will make a partner, like a business partnership, and then this person will betray you. It's almost like they are offering something amazing, incredible, that is not true. They're offering you something that they know you would accept because of your hunger, and then they are making you fall into a trap. That's basically it, because they are not being truthful, and they will not give you what you wanted. If I think the biggest lesson, like I didn't even finish the reading, but what is coming to me is like the biggest lesson is don't work for money. Don't choose the money. If you can choose your excitement and money, like sure money, certain money, and a passion, excitement, like your highest excitement, choose your excitement. And now, the strength that you've developed in that life was the resilience towards a situation where, like, you're doing something that you're so exhausted about. It's almost like even your own physical body can take, there are some people that are more sensitive physically, and if imagine they are working with something that is very exhausting to them and that is completely disaligned with them, they will have a burnout very fast. Like for you, that does not happen. Even if you feel very tired and all of that, there is this still kind of energy and persistency in you that allows you to, if you have to stay in a place where you're doing something that is very exhausting and that you don't like to do, but it's for survival, you will be able to continue. Like your body will not give up. Even if you're so sad and disappointed and you feel so unfulfilled in that job, in that career, doing that thing, it's almost like you can be the type of person that if you sleep well, there's no problems. Your body will always recover fast enough. So physically, you have this strength inside yourself, or at least in this past life. In this present life, you can have two things. You can be still this person that is very resilient and that is very persistent and is very good at resisting things, or you could be someone that is very like extremely sensitive, and because of that your own body doesn't allow you to be in a path that is not aligned with your own soul, and it will show you by how exhausted you will feel. And now, a wound that you've carried in this past life of yours, I see that it was the impulsiveness in making a decision. You've really regretted the fact that you've had the option to follow something that you love to do, or to go a path that is more preferable in a way, even if it's not as certain as an opportunity that where the person literally says you will gain this quantity of money. Like you really regret the fact that you chose something different than your passion. You chose to work for money. You chose to not go in a new path. But I do understand you in this past life, because you were someone that only knew how to be like a farmer, for an example. That was your whole life. That was what you've learned, what people taught you, what you saw, what you've done. You always worked with that. And so for you, it was not only about not knowing if you're going to gain enough money to survive if you follow your passion. It was also about going a completely new way, like a completely new path. It's going to the unknown, and that was a bit scary for you. And I think that was one of the things that made you choose the opportunity that the wealthy man gave you. And so your wound has a lot to do with your attachment to money for you to feel safe, for you to feel secure. Your attachment to resistant, like you're very resistant to life, to hearing your own body, to acknowledging that maybe your path is not that one, that maybe you're supposed to go a different, new, completely path where you don't know, you don't see the path ahead. And it's about you having faith, you having trust in yourself, in a higher plan. But that was definitely the one that you've carried in this past life. And so it was left unfinished for you. It was exactly you not listening to your own intuition. It was when the moment came for you to choose to do something professionally, like something you would work with, when it was a time for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna start to work with something, you've chosen it for money and for the stability, the false idea of stability that it brings you, instead of following your intuition, because you knew. How do we know if the path is for us or not? Do you truly love that? Do you truly love to do that? Is your passion? Does your body align with it? Does your body like feel great when you're in that path, when you're doing that thing? Yes or no? And the answer is there. If the answer is no, then that's not your path. If the answer is yes, then that's your path. Is this kind of like you gotta choose something that will ensure your happiness and true fulfillment, and that does not come with money. Money is simply a way for you. Money is a way for you to not have to worry about the basic needs. But money for itself will not fulfill you, especially not emotionally. What will fulfill you is you waking up every single day and getting up every single day to do something that you feel so excited about, that you love so much. That's what fulfills you. And that's what your higher self is telling you to do. Your higher self is saying you, why are you not listening to intuition? Your intuition is simply your higher self communicating with you. It's almost like sending you whispers, basically. Is whispering to you. It's like, don't you want to go this path? Isn't it best for you? Don't you like it more? It's almost like, don't work for money. That's the thing. Don't work for security, for safety, because you're coming from a fear-based system, like a belief system, that will only generate you to, one, either get into partnerships that will ensure that you feel again that you were lied to and that you will not receive abundance. You will go paths where you will not be abundant, because true abundance starts with you following your true passion, following your highest excitement. That's where abundance starts. Abundance starts when you feel that emotion of, I'm so happy that I'm doing this. I love this. This is abundance. Like, it's a privilege. It's about you acknowledging how amazing it is to be able to do something that you love to do. And that for itself is abundance. And so the energy, like, how is this energy of this past life living in you today? I believe that you might be right now in a moment where you're feeling very much stagnant or stuck in a situation. There's a decision that needs to be made. I don't know if that's an opportunity that came up or if that's simply you being like, I can choose to walk away from the situation that I'm right now. I do believe that you might be working with something right now or even studying something right now. But whatever it is making you feel so exhausted. It's a burden to you right now, and your body feels it. You know it. That's why you're here, also. Like, this message is for you because you feel this way. You feel so tired. You feel so exhausted. And that's your soul screaming to you. That's your soul saying, look, that's not your path. You're not supposed to do that. Of course, you're exhausted. You're meant for other things. You're meant for great, amazing things that will fulfill you completely. And so, if you feel stuck right now, look, I do understand that state. You shouldn't necessarily like hate to be in that state. It's the perfect moment for you to actually stop for a second and think, I have these two options. I can make a decision here. I can keep going to this path that I've known and that everyone around me knows, and there is this sensation of it's going to be something certain, like it could guarantee you enough money to survive and live. Yes, but that's not what you truly want, is it? If it was something that was supposed to be yours and it was supposed for you to truly follow, you wouldn't be feeling bad about it. Your body wouldn't be so exhausted. You wouldn't feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And so it's about time that you sit with yourself, really think about this. And I know that it might be a bit uncertain to start a completely new path that is not very talked about around you and around the people around you. But maybe that's your path. Maybe that's the point where you can start and be your own leader. You take control of your life and be like, this might be unknown to me, and I might feel a bit unstable and even feel a bit afraid of what might happen and what if this does not work. That's okay to feel that. It doesn't mean that it has to stop you from going for it. You will only know if that path is not for you if you go ahead and try it. And what do you have to lose when you're already feeling terrible right now? So allow yourself to really try and make this decision with your intuition. Listen to your intuition, and your body, your physical body's condition is simply another message from your soul. So if you're not feeling great physically, your soul is asking something of you. Is asking you to change something, to stop doing something. And now the final message, so the advice from your spirit guides, I just got goosebumps when I was shuffling the cards and taking them out. We have inspiration. That's literally what I've been saying. I think it's about you following literally a passion of yours. You following this inspiration that you had and that just brings this fire inside of you. You feel like, I really want to try and do it. Like, this is something that seems like a good idea if I only listen to my heart. It excites me, and it's also about you understanding that everything is tied up, like everything is connected. That's what I mean. Everything is, and everyone is connected. You will never be not supported. There's no such thing. Just because something is not there, okay, just because you can't see something, it does not mean that it's not there. It's almost like when the night comes, you don't see the sun. Did it stop existing? No. This is about you understanding and acknowledging how divinely guided you are being right now and you have been your whole life. And even the fact that you decided to do something that right now is having on you, Even that is part of your process because you needed to be first in a state and doing something that is very heavy and stressful and exhausting for you. So then you can know that one, you have an option to choose something different. Two, if you follow this different thing, you will also know, because it will feel so different from the situation that you are in right now, you will know that that's your path. And so it's almost like you following your passion in this present life is healing this past life of yours, because you did not choose the right thing for you in a way, and so then you really regretted it. And today it's on the universe is saying, look, right now I'm giving you an opportunity. You have the opportunity right now to make things different, to choose the other path, to change things, to heal this. Just acknowledge the fact that this was always divinely orchestrated, and you are meant to go a new path. And your spirit team is always with you, always supporting you and helping you. And so, my group three, this is all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a great day. I hope to see you in my next video.